Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Mark Divitt, and I will serve as Master of Ceremonies today. If you wish to take pictures, please feel free to do so. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. Welcome to the United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Exemplar and Award Ceremony for the class of 2013. I would like to introduce our distinguished guests. Please hold your applause until all introductions are finished. The Exemplar, Preparatory School Class of 2013, Brigadier General Jeffrey Kendall, who saw the prep class of 1979. Tonight's host, United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Commander, Colonel Cabrina Rada. United States Air Force Academy Command Chief, Chief Master Sergeant Stephen Ludwig. United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Vice Commander, Colonel Scott Thatcher. United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Dean of Academics, Dr. Richard Schoaf. United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Athletic Director, Coach Robert Cabrera. United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Commandant, Major Nicole Roberts. United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School Chief, Honor Division, Ms. Nikki Marino. United States Air Force Academy Preparatory School First Sergeant, Master Sergeant Stephen Matthews. Representing North American Aviation, United States Army Lieutenant Colonel Retired, John Swanson. And our very special guest, Tech Sergeant Retired Farmer T. Withrow and his wife, Marion. Time doesn't permit us to mention all of our distinguished guests today, but please join me in welcoming all of our other distinguished guests. And now, the commander of the preparatory school, Colonel Cabrina Rada.
Good evening, everyone. General Kendall, Chief Ludwig, Colonel Swanson, preparatory school staff, parents, friends, and loved ones of the Air Force Academy Preparatory School Class of 2013. Thank you very much for your presence at tonight's ceremony. This is a special evening for the graduating preppies, as they reflect on the excellence achieved over the past year and look forward to challenges ahead. The Class of 2013 has chosen as their exemplar Brigadier General Jeffrey Squint Kendall, Preparatory School Class of 1979. He is currently serving as Director, Warfighter Systems Integration, Office of Warfighting Integration, and Chief Information Officer, Office of the Secretary of the Air Force at the Pentagon. But that's not why he was selected as a class exemplar. The CCs told me that we picked General Kendall because he exemplifies the balance of an excellent Air Force leader. His Air Force career epitomizes the balance of a well-rounded person, from his education and training to his diverse array of assignments and achievements. His education, training, and experience, in many ways, in many different fields, are what made General Kendall a successful Air Force officer, and those are the qualities we aspire to follow as the United States Air Force Academy Prep School Class of 2013. Now, after getting to know General Kendall a little bit, I think I understand what the CCs were getting at. For example, he is Brigadier General Dana Bourne and Colonel Tamara Rank's classmate, class of 1983 from the Air Force Academy. Not only that, but just like my classmate and fellow 4-degree squadron mate, Colonel Joe Rizzuto, he once commanded the 306 Flying Training Group. He also bears the notable distinction of having briefed me on A6 issues at my group commander's course. You can laugh, it's not going to get any better than that. And he also has the distinction of having graduated from the National War College exactly 9 years before General Gould, after General Gould, and 10 years before me. Clearly, 2 more indications of his greatness. But seriously, Previously, his staff's command experience includes an operational F-15C squadron, the 306 Flying Training Group I already mentioned, and the International 80th Flying Training Wing in Shepherd Air Force Base. He has, he has served in various operational and staff assignments in Europe, the Pacific, and the United States, and flew for 2 years as the Air Combat Command East Coast F-15 demonstration pilot. Prior to his current assignment, he was the commander of Kandahar Airfield for NATO in Afghanistan and Senior Airfield Authority responsible for multinational air-based defense while exercising centralized control and coordination of airfield operations, logistics, NATO assets, real estate management, layered air-based defense, and force protection for 30,000 personnel. The general is a command pilot with nearly 3,400 flying hours, primarily in the F-15, including 323 combat hours during Operations Desert Shield, Desert Storm, and Southern Watch. Please join me in welcoming General Kendall.
Let's hope this comes off without breaking. Success. Very good. Well, thank you very much for that warm welcome. It's a sincere honor to be here today in front of you all, and hopefully with any success, impart maybe just a few words for our cadet candidates to think about as they start their new challenge as their 4-degree year starts shortly after their leave. Colonel Waddell, thank you very much for that warm introduction. Chief, glad to have you here. Colonel Thacker, team members, Colonel Swanson, glad to have you here as well. It's always good to have the Joint Force team fully represented. You know, when you look at the expansion of what it is that exemplars may be expected to be, you hope that you never come up short. And I will tell you right now that I hope that that is the case tonight, because when you look at Merriam-Webster's dictionary definition of exemplar, it talks about the model and the example. That's a very, very large task when you think about it, given that we have 188 now cadet candidates that are moving on as appointees to the Air Force Academy. Because what it really comes down to is there is no one template for success in our United States Air Force today. There is no one singular path of success in our United States Air Force today. Every one of your leaders in our Air Force has taken a slightly different path along the way, has picked up different traits, picked up different rules, picked up different ways of doing things that have made him or her a more effective, more capable leader for our modern Air Force. Now, when I hear 1979, the class of 79, you know, that's a long time ago. That is a long time ago, as my wife likes to remind me. Because, you know, when I spent time, for example, at the 306 Flying Training Group, and as a wing commander of our pilot training wing at Shepherd Air Force Base in Texas, the students kept coming in younger and younger. And yet I never changed. So I was trying to figure out, how can this possibly be? Your parents know that you are out playing Air Force today. But in fact, it was the case that we were maturing, we were seasoning, we were gaining wisdom and confidence over the years. But 1979 was a different time frame for those that were around during that time, and there are a few in this audience, yes, who are joining me in this conversation, who remember what the world was like and what the United States was like. 1979, who was the president? Carter. Jimmy Carter was our president. That's right, yep, we're one, this team over here. Very good. What was the Dow Jones Industrial high point in 1979? 907 versus 15,000 or so today. What was inflation? Over 13%. That's expensive. And what was the astronomical gas price that we were all complaining it had just climbed to? 85 cents a gallon. What was I going to do? Where was I going to find the money? It's a good thing I couldn't own a car for a number of years. But you know, when you come to the prep school, you kind of leave a little bit of that behind. Because you join a team that gives you strength through friendships, through teamwork, but also by understanding what your common goals are and what those common sacrifices are to attain those goals. So why did I come to prep school? Well, one, I failed to gain an appointment out of high school. Simple enough. When I went in and interviewed, they said, you know, your SAT scores are good, but they're not stellar. Your grades are good, but they're not stellar. So we probably don't think you're going to be you're not going to succeed at the academy, but we have some other options for you. And here's the door. Well, you know, when you're a young, senior in high school, you're going, wow, thanks. But it's moments like that that you learn from. And so I accepted an opportunity to come to the Air Force Academy Preparatory School to start anew. And I have never regretted it ever since. Because the experience I gained in 1978, 1979, as young Airman Basic / Cadet Candidate Kendall, who walked in on July 20th, 1978, entering the Air Force to wear a blue uniform, was a pivotal moment in my life. So, when I got here, in addition to getting a sporty haircut, which, for those who remember the 70s know that sporty haircuts were not exactly in style back then. Most of us had it, there are pictures, believe me. I didn't bring them, but it's okay. But when I arrived here, I met leaders. I met enlisted leaders. I met officer leaders. The commandant of the prep school, Colonel Ben Pollard, former POW, 6 years as a POW in the Vietnam War. He was my commandant. My TI, Staff Sergeant William D. Nelson, who never raised his voice the entire time. He didn't have to. Trust me. Matter of fact, his call phrase was standing there, and I apologize if this offends, but he would say, "You people are beginning to piss me off." At that point, we knew, run. But that's what it took to get immersed into our Air Force today. So now I look at all the opportunities that were presented to me over those years. And I thought, well, why am I here? Well, I want to fly. I mean, a lot of kids, see the Thunderbirds fly over, they go, I want to go fly. This is what I want to do. Did I come into the Air Force thinking, yeah, someday I want to be Chief of Staff of the Air Force? No. Trust me. I had short-term goals. All I was thinking about is, can I get through the next grade review, or the next exam, or the next inspection, or the, 1 year at a time, 1 day at a time, short-term goals. Surrounded by a team of friends who were able to bring me through that as a group. But I never made plans. And here's an example of why we think a plan is a point of departure. When I was a young lieutenant, first assignment, I was assigned to fly F-15s out of Bitburg Air Base, Germany, which is closed by now, unfortunately. Great base, great mission. In the day when Warsaw Pact and NATO were facing off in a Cold War. It was a hot Cold War, but it was a Cold War nonetheless. Well, I showed up there as a bachelor, thinking, I'm going to be here 2 years, going to fly, because I'll only be there 2 years, I'm going to get a follow-on assignment back to Florida. See, I'm already planning. Flying again. And you know what? Because the mark rate right now, the exchange rate on the German mark was 3.1 marks to the dollar, I'm going to buy a Porsche. Hey, they're only cost about 10 grand, right? Good deal. However, young Lieutenant Kendall was smart enough to go, I know me, and I'm going to burn that engine out the very first year I buy that car on the Autobahn. So I'm going to wait a year. Yeah. Well, I met my lovely wife, who's also in the Air Force, graduated from Bowling Green State University. Anybody from Ohio here? Yeah. You, Bowling Green, yeah, ROTC graduate, munitions officer. She was in charge of bombs, bullets, missiles, could wire a SME C4 charge shaped like a bunny. That was a woman for me, I can tell you. She was on a 3-year tour, so I extended an extra year. That takes me out of that, ooh, you're not going to go to Florida so much anymore. After 3 years, I spent 2 years with the Army, 3rd Brigade, 3rd Armored Division in Friedberg, home of Elvis's stomping grounds, by the way, when he was in the Army. And so at the end of the day, my plans to spend 2 years flying, come back, flying for another 3 years in the Eagle at Floyd, Florida, while owning a Porsche, changed. Instead, I came home with a wife, a kid, after 5 years in Europe, and a Toyota Camry. But the point is, plans change. So if you have a plan right now, be prepared to modify it for success. So what were the final challenges that I think? We made mention about some of my time in Afghanistan. You know, I will tell you right now, and to make some of you think that's probably not accurate, but my personal impression is combat is not fun. It may be exciting, but it's not fun. So if you're up there thinking that this is going to be a combat environment that you're entering into the Air Force, that's the unfun part. Because you may have to do what you need to do in national defense. And my time in Afghanistan shows that to me, but it also showed me the value of teamwork. A NATO team, a NATO partnership, working together, yes, protecting 30,000 personnel, and I was actually one of the few Air Force officers in the Air Force today who was a ground force commander. I had ground troops under my control. Now, was I personally trained for that? For about 30 years. Did my time with the Army help me in that regard? You bet. Was my time spent in joint environments, working with my fellow brothers and sisters in the Army, Navy, and the Marines, as well as our interagency partners, help me? You bet. Because my teamwork loop just grew larger and culminated while I was spending my time in Afghanistan for a year. That's the value of teamwork. It's critical. So what does all this mean to you tonight? Because I know that we want to get going with the awards, and you're not here to listen to me, and most of you will remember not so much what I said, but how long it took me to say it. But let me just say that if you think about it, kind of comes in a question of why, or a question. Why grow leaders who persevere with passion? Why grow leaders who persevere with passion? Why? Start with why. Why are you here? Why are you, talking to the cadet candidates now, I apologize, parents, you know why you're here. For the cadet candidates, why are you here to attend the Air Force Academy? Only you know. Only you can be here for you. Because that will ensure that you can persevere the 4 years of the academy. It's not easy, but it is doable. Anything is doable. Grow. Grow where you're planted. You'll have an opportunity here in a few months. The academy is looking for preppies not to shrink or hide into the woodwork, but to lead. You will be the informal leaders operating within your class when you get there. I remember my classmate, Ron Platt, who has since separated from the Air Force many years ago. When he first arrived from Wisconsin, he had a deer in the headlights look when he showed up in our room. I already had my bed made, the corner squared, all that good stuff all squared away. I was sitting around going, well, when does it start? Let's go. I wasn't really thinking all that. I was kind of thankful going, yes, good break, but remember I was 19. But it was at that point that he needed help, and so I helped him. And you know what? Your cadre, your leaders up there are going to be looking for that. If they find out you're a preppy, it's not because they're going to try to target you. It's going to be because they want you to help your fellow classmates, because you've already done this for at least a year, and for our prior service for even longer. Don't shrink away from that. Leaders, be a courageous leader. You will learn about leaders of character, about integrity, about doing the right thing. And I will tell you, doing the right thing is not always popular. But at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror and know what you've done is the right thing. And that is what America is counting on you to do as you grow in your time as cadets, as you grow in your time as officers in our United States Air Force. That is what you have got to do. Perseverance. Setting those short-term goals will help. You've got to establish them. If you try to, it's like how do you eat the elephant? One bite at a time. Don't get out too far ahead of yourself. Take it a day at a time. But don't forget why you're there. That will help you along the way. I just spent, and I apologize, I'm running a little late here. I just spent lunch today with a cadet, former cadet, I should say. He's actually a separated, medically retired captain, who was a cadet I sponsored here when I was serving as a flying training group commander at the airfield. He was class of 2007. Captain Mark Wise, who was a cross-trainee, or cross-commissioned, I should say, into the Army. And I go, well, first of all, where did I go wrong? Why did you go to the Army? Wearing blue, got a blue uniform, got a blue academy, so he wanted to be on the pointy edge. He lost his pilot qualification and said, well, I know I still want to lead men and women in combat. So he did. He was actually stationed here at Fort Carson, deployed to Afghanistan as a platoon leader, and on 24 October 2009, his world changed. When he was struck with an IED in Afghanistan. Woke up about 9 days later, wondering why his family was surrounding him in his room. How did they get to Afghanistan? Why are they there? He was at Walter Reed in the hospital. So he, for the next few years, has undergone a lot of physical therapy. And he lost a couple fingers, had damage to his legs, arm, shrapnel wounds to his head and face. He had just been married. I went to his wedding. He persevered. Now, if I had asked him while he was a cadet if he could persevere, I'll tell you, his freshman year, he didn't have thoughts like that at all. He was thinking, there's no way I'm going to get through this school. There's no way I'm not going to make it. And yet he did. And now here he is today, medically retired Army captain, living here in Colorado Springs, a wife, a 1-year-old son, living in a civilian world, and yet his next challenge, he's in sing. But his next challenge is a 225-mile trek to the South Pole. International team. There's a 4-man team you might have seen in the paper. 4-person team from Australia, 4-person team from the UK, 4-person team from Canada, 4-person team from the US. He's one of the members of the US team. Just finished training in Iceland, which was an interesting discussion we had. And that's what he's going to do next November. Why? Because he learned to persevere. He learned about teamwork. So when it starts getting tough, and it will get tough, physically, mentally, remember why you're there. Because at the end of the day, you are going to establish your passion in your life. What it is that burns in your heart of what you want to do, whether it's leading in combat, whether it's working on aircraft, whether it's working in a missile silo, whatever it has to be, you find that passion and you follow it. You want to come to work, not have to come to work every day, because that is going to make you an inspirational and effective leader. So think about that. Why grow with leaders who can persevere? Because you are they. That's why you're here. And for the next 4 years, you'll get a chance to learn and challenge yourselves and each other. And that's the good stuff. Because by the time you graduate, you will start on a brand new chapter with a whole new experience. And your family will all be there to join in the celebration. So let me just end with where I started. Congratulations to the class of 2013. Thank you to the families for sharing your sons and daughters, your sisters and brothers, nephews and nieces with us in our Air Force. Because what they are embarking on is important. You can be proud, justifiably proud. But remember, they have to be here for themselves. Help them. When they get down, keep lifting them up. Because they are our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brigadier General Kendall, for those kind words. The class of 2013 would like to take this opportunity to present you with a special gift.
On behalf of the class of Prep School 2013, we'd like to give you the shadow box representing the Western Cadet candidate. As a token of our appreciation, we accept your invitation to be entered.
Thank you very much. Next on our program is a presentation of the Most Improved Student in Academics Award, the award for the top performance in each of the 3 academic disciplines, the overall Outstanding Cadet Candidate in Academics, the Outstanding Cadet Candidate Award in Military Training, the Outstanding Female in Physical Fitness, the Outstanding Male in Physical Fitness, and the overall Outstanding Athlete, the Outstanding Cadet Candidate in Character Development, and the award for the overall Outstanding Cadet Candidate for the class of 2013. As I read each award, will the nominees please stand and remain standing until the recipient is announced. At that time, the award winner will come forward for the presentation. Dr. Schoaf, will you please come forward to present the academic awards? The first award is for the Most Improved Student in Academics. This award recognizes the student who improved his or her academic grade point average the most during the school year. The nominees in alphabetical order are Cadet Candidate Lynn A. Cheese. Cadet candidate Zachary L. Chubb. Cadet candidate Michael A. D'Souza. The most improved student in academics is cadet candidate Michael A. D'Souza. CC Michael D'Souza is a member of 3rd Squadron. He is the son of Paul and Patricia D'Souza of El Paso, Texas, where he graduated from El Dorado High School. While the average cadet candidate's term GPA decreased by 1/2 of a grade point over the course of the year, Mr. D'Souza's GPA improved every term, and he increased his GPA by nearly 1/2 of a grade point. He has shown great grit and determination in improving his academic performance and has the goal of graduating from the Air Force Academy and being an Air Force pilot. The next awards go to the top performer in each of our 3 academic disciplines. These awards recognize students that have not only maintained very high grade point averages, they've also consistently demonstrated a commitment to academic excellence throughout the year and have challenged themselves to become the best. The nominees for the top performer in English in alphabetical order are cadet candidate Allie J. Leonard. Cadet candidate Ryan R. Nicholson. Cadet candidate Leah N. Young. The top performer in English is cadet candidate Leah N. Young. Cadet candidate Leah N. Young, hailing from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This former Air Force Public Affairs asset earned a superior first semester marks that led to her selection as one of 6 cadet candidates to take freshman English at the Academy in the spring semester. Her instructor at the Academy could not say enough about Cadet candidate Young's performance as a writer and as a leader in the classroom, and awarded her the highest grade out of 54 students. Cadet candidate Young hopes to become a C-17 pilot, but keeping those duties smartly in balance with her future family life. She is joined today by her grandparents, David and Carol Reinhardt. The nominees for the top performer in mathematics in alphabetical order are cadet candidate Curtis A. Legg. Cadet candidate Juan C. Orozco. Cadet candidate Eric L. Nursing. The top performer in mathematics is cadet candidate Juan C. Orozco. C.C. Orozco came to the prep school after serving in the Air Force's finance career field, stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio. He maintained an amazing 97% average across all of his math classes and achieved a perfect 4.0 math GPA, including the Math 141 differential calculus course he took at the Air Force Academy this spring. For the top performer in science in alphabetical order are cadet candidate Juan C. Orozco. Cadet candidate Dominique G. Thompson. Cadet candidate Eric L. Nursing. Erica Zealander. CCZE is a proud member of the 3rd Squadron. He is the son of Mr. Joseph Ersing and Ms. Cheryl Zealander Ersing of West Falls, New York. Before coming to the prep school, CC Zealander Ersing served as a C-130 loadmaster stationed at Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station, New York. He earned a 4.0 grade point average in all chemistry classes this year and also earned 4.0 in 2/4 of a very challenging physics track. He's volunteered as a judge for 2 separate elementary school science fairs, earning a reputation amongst his classmates as the go-to guy when help in science was needed, thereby helping to raise the ships of those around him. The final academic area award is for the outstanding deckhand in academics. This award recognizes a superior preparatory school academic performer. To be eligible for this award, a cadet candidate must possess a superior scholastic record of achievement in preparatory school courses and exemplify a highly positive character, personality, and potential for success at the Academy and in the U.S. Air Force. The nominees in alphabetical order are cadet candidate Juan C. Orozco, cadet candidate Matthew P. Schisler,